Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. According to this Twitter account, and I can't vouch for them by the way, so take it or leave it. I got no idea whether this information is legit or not, but according to them, Lawrence Okolie will fight Richard Riakporhe on a Frank Warren card on April 5th. Now, at one point, this was actually the fight to make in the cruiserweight division before Riakporhe came to prominence. Lawrence Okolie was champion. Richard Riakporhe was on the rise. They had that altercation, which was a cinema or something that a lot of people felt was staged, but you know, it is what it is. So these two seem to be on a collision course. Both British fighters of Nigerian heritage, both big punchers, both 6'5". Interestingly, Riakporhe is actually several years older than Lawrence Okolie, despite the fact that he's younger in boxing terms. He's had less fights and he's less experienced. And one of the physical stats that does differentiate them is that Lawrence Okolie has got a significantly longer reach, at least according to BoxRec. Riakporhe's reach is listed at 77 inches, whereas Lawrence Okolie's reach is listed at 82 inches. And I suspect these measurements aren't too far off because Riakporhe certainly seems to be the more coordinated of the two. You often find that fighters with like really long arms tend to be a little less coordinated. I'm talking about really long arms in proportion to their height, because you do get some tall guys with short arms or relatively short arms, right? I'm talking about tall fighters or even short fighters that have really long arms. Not always. Some of them have got really good coordination, but a disproportionately high number of them have coordination which isn't the best. Generally, shorter arms in relation to your height will equal better coordination. So yeah, Riakporhe's got that. Both fighters have got a tendency to hold a lot, particularly Lawrence Okolie, although in Okolie's last two fights, which were at bridgerweight and heavyweight, there was barely any holding. He blasted his opponents out in the first round. And this is since hooking up with a new trainer in Joe Gallagher. Okolie is 21-1, 16 of his wins coming by way of knockout, that solitary defeat coming at the hands of Chris Smith on points back in 2023. Okolie claims he was totally drained in the fight, and based on his last two performances, I'm willing to entertain the possibility that that's actually true. But we won't know for sure until, let's say, this fight gets made with Riakporhe. Then we'll see whether Lawrence Okolie goes back to all the holding. We'll see whether he holds a shot better because Riakporhe can punch. And we'll see how confident he is against the guy just as tall as him who's athletic, because yeah, his last opponent was tall as well, but he went up to much. So Riakporhe is 17-1, 13 of his wins coming by way of knockout. He hasn't fought since he also lost to Chris Smith in June last year. Again, that was on points. And as awful as his performance against Smith was, and that was a rematch by the way, Riakporhe beat Smith first time. And as awful as Riakporhe's performance was, it was still better than Okolie's performance against Smith. I know that ain't saying much, but we're comparing Okolie and Riakporhe here, right? Because supposedly they're going to fight each other. But yeah, Riakporhe hasn't fought since that Smith loss. What was it, like 7 months ago now? Okolie has had one fight since then, but given the fact it only lasted less than a round, I wouldn't have thought it'd really give him much of an advantage in terms of activity. I guess he went through the training camp and all that, but maybe Richard Riakporhe has been in training camp the whole time. Hopefully he has, rather than gallivanting around with Mum-Ra from Thundercats, aka Madonna. That old fossil, that dusty old... Let me not even go there. So anyway, to sum up, there will be very low expectations for this fight from the public. They're going to look at this, and I'm sure I'm going to see it in the comments, and they're going to say, what an absolute stinker. This is a reason to avoid watching this show rather than actually tune in, and they might be right. It could turn out to be an absolute stinker, but sometimes you get pleasant surprises in scenarios like this, where everyone's expecting a terrible fight, and it turns out to be something exciting and dramatic. I can't tell you that will happen here, but stranger things have happened in boxing. That's what I can say. In any event, let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below. If I had to pick a winner, I'd have to go on current form and say Lawrence Okolie. At least he's coming off the back of 2 wins. Riakporhe hasn't fought since his loss to Smith, so I'll go with Okolie. Riakporhe, I think, tends to freeze and tense up on big occasions, so I go with a source. Anyway, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform, who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android, because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.